Welcome back to the Blister and Muck podcast. I'm Jenny Mason, your host and the creator of the Blister and Muck series. This week, our heroes had better turn the tables or else give up the game. Be prepared for some outcomes that are unpredictable. Turn the tables. What a strange expression. It refers to when a situation reverses, like when a problem becomes a solution, or when a disadvantage suddenly becomes an advantage. I don't know about you, but the first thing I wonder about is what kind of table has to turn to make a situation reverse course. Should you turn a dinner table or a bedside table? How about a coffee table or an end table? Conference tables, trestle tables, refectory, tulip, drop leaf, bistro. Then there are the more esoteric tables that I personally find a bit intimidating to turn. For example, dressing tables, let's face it, are naked until they put on some tableware. Nesting tables need privacy while they try to hatch eggs, full of, I guess, baby tables. And as soon as they open their mouths, accent tables reveal their origins from foreign, faraway places. And buffet tables are not only muscular, but also Canadian, 'cause they're buff, eh? Of course, we can't forget all the fun tables: card tables, poker tables, pool tables, foosball tables, and ping pong tables. These are the very tables that inspired the expression, turn the tables. In table games like chess, checkers, or backgammon, you can fall behind or begin to lose so badly that the only way to win would be to literally spin the table so that you took control of your opponent's pieces, leaving them stuck with yours. You reverse the situation so that losing instantly becomes winning. Now, literally turning the table in these games is cheating, and I don't think the expression is meant to encourage anyone to cheat to get ahead. Instead, I think it aims to inspire us to creatively flip a disadvantage to our advantage, which is exactly what Blister and the rescue crew are about to attempt. As you may recall, their efforts to thwart the villains in the Junk Castle Library had spiraled from bad to worse. Vexler Q. Drummel apprehended Orville, Yana's lab assistants buckled Muck to the brain-blasting contraption, and Spindle's scheme to open the cages imprisoning Barty, Jan, and Rip literally backfired, leaving Muck and Yana zapped senseless. All the while, the wharf rats are deploying their own stratagems to help. But who knows what that looks like because they explained it to Blister in their weird and wheezy wharf rat language. I guess what I'm driving at is this. The whole situation is a veritable mess. It's not at all equitable, which makes me deeply uncomfortable. Are these obstacles insurmountable? Or is there a measure of hope? At this point, even a tablespoon would suffice. Episode 18. A Turning of Tables. Mrs. Chettingley and the lab assistants swarmed around Yana. Blister broke through the rotten, brittle wood, bounded across the room, and skidded across the trestle table. He bit through enough of the straps to pull Muck free. He unbelted the smoking, sizzling cap and eased it off Muck's head.
"Talk to me, Muck. Wake up."
Muck did not respond. Behind the rats, Barty broke free of the demagnetized cage. He wrapped Jan's thin arm around his shoulders and shot for the exit.
"Run for it, Barty! Go get help!"
Orville cheered as Vexler continued to pin his arms behind his back.
"Get them!"
Mrs. Chettingley yelped at the canine creatures draped in ragged dresses. The pack throttled out of the library on their strange paws and backwards bending legs, baying and barking. With the dog-like mongrels gone, the cats descended from the bookshelves. Tabby and several other felines crouched and wriggled, with their eyes locked on Blister.
Blister, run!
Orville warned. Vexler commanded,
Shut up.
He then attempted to shove Orville's face to the floor, but Orville initiated a desperate scuffle. He wriggled himself and his captor closer to the trestle table, where Blister attempted to pull Muck's limp body away from the impending feline ambush. As the cats sprang, Orville swung his legs up, using Vexler like a vaulter's pole. He brought all his weight upon the table's lip, tipping it down and the other end up. This improvised seesaw sent Blister and Muck sailing through the air. At the same time, the cats thudded head first against the upright table surface. The two rats struck the floor and rolled to a stop near Rip's cage. As soon as Tabby recovered from the impact against the table, he pounced at the rats. Blister sprang to his feet and used every fighting tactic he'd learned training with the operatives to deflect Tabby's swipes.
If you hurt them,
Rip snarled through the mesh,
I'll thread you like beef.
Tabby snickered.
I'm real afraid of an oversized hairball.
By the time Muck had shaken off his daze and hauled himself upright, the other cats had already stumbled over to form an inescapable perimeter around the two rats. Did it work? Muck asked while helping Blister parry and block cat attacks.
Depends, on what outcome you were hoping for,
Blister said. Vexler pinned Orville against a bookcase. The lab assistants propped Yana up on her gummy legs. She scanned the library, chin down, eyes cutting in quick directions, her hands coiled into a nervous knot. Mrs. Chettingley and the lab assistants peppered her with questions.
Did it work?
Can you speak?
Can you speak?
Did it work?
Do you feel like a rat?
Yes. Was it a success? Shall we hook up the panther?
I don't know, Yana stammered. I couldn't possibly proceed. Look at this place, all in shambles. The odious odds appear to be not in our favor. Blister mused to Muck.
Reminds me of how you used to be.
Muck smiled.
Fabulous fruitions. I told you I would think of myself. I thought thoroughly of my old self.
Dearest, Orville called out,
I never meant to offer you pyrite. You deserve nothing but the finest gold. Cease these schemes. It's not too late.
Yana tottered to the contraption and touched it tenderly. But this is all I have. Orville pressed his case more fervently, promising Yana anything and everything he could fathom. Blister studied the pitiable slump of Yana's shoulders as she leaned against the contraption. She looked convinced it might hug her back. For the first time since he'd been in the library that night, he noticed behind the machine hung the portrait of the red-haired woman and child. Lightning scrubbed the painting with its silver soap, enabling Blister to see something he'd never noticed before. Of course he saw the regal woman with her hands folded on her lap, and the timid child resting one hand on the woman's knee. But now he also observed the gap between the mother's hands and the child's. It was a gap of only a few inches, but those inches now appeared as a vast expanse.
A pang of comprehension struck Blister right where the imaginary dam used to barricade his heart from feelings. He knew precisely how Yana felt. He knew better than anyone how she'd felt her whole life.
You're not alone,
Blister declared. Yana's mouth trouted when she found him amidst the ring of cats. Blister?
You're not alone,
he repeated.
You have friends. You have support. You still have family.
Yana shook her head and coiled her hands.
No, I don't have anyone. I never had anyone.
She looked to the place where Jan had formerly crouched in his cage. She studied the busted remnants of the blackened mesh.
Papa taught Orville how to research. He took Orville and a dozen other boys on expeditions. Not me. He never had time for me. I was alone.
I know what it's like,
Blister said.
I know what that is. To fall asleep alone, cold in the dark. To wake up just as cold when the sun shines.
This time, Yana nodded, leaning in Blister's direction.
I had no one to teach me how to be.
Yana paused. Her face crinkled and tears slid down her cheeks.
How to be right in this world. I spent my whole life wrong.
Sympathetic tears rolled down many cheeks just then. Vexler snuffled and wiped his nose on his dirty sleeve. Mrs. Chettingley and the lab assistants dabbed their eyes with pinafore hems.
But the day it all changed was the day I realized I had the power to make the world fit right for me.
But then,
Blister looked to Muck.
Along comes a stranger who sees in you everything that is so right. All the right things which had been there all along, only you couldn't see them for yourself. But the minute you do see them, everything changes. You, the world, it all changes.
The fur around Muck's eyes moistened. He grinned and squeezed Blister's shoulder.
Yana visibly struggled to follow Blister's logic. Plappa, 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 plap, 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 plap. All the way down from a hole in the stone tower's roof came a dribbling stream of rain that whacked the contraption.
Ah!
Yana gasped, clutching fistfuls of her hair.
Stop that leak!
A lab assistant used a stout beaker to catch the steady drip. 2 more leaks emerged, spattering rain on the floor. Another struck the electric generator. Bright sparks popped. Assistants rushed around with any and all containers to catch the unspooling water threads. Lightning illuminated the dark uppermost levels of the tower, revealing a patchwork of fresh holes. Blister also thought he saw the light trace outlines around seaweed-encrusted shapes.
Dim.
The fractured sounds sewed into one tight phrase. Demolish. The wharf rats were demolishing the castle. He realized they had orchestrated the collapse of the ballroom laboratory. He guessed that they, and not fallen trees, had crushed other distant portions of the mansion. It was not the wind that chewed on the structure, but the wharf rats. No sooner had the comprehension struck than a victorious elephant's trumpet bleated in the hallway. The towering doors wing-flapped off their hinges as in rushed the pack of ORBSs. They galumphed or waddled at full throttle, yelping and whimpering. They hid behind the stuffed, wide-eyed taxidermy animals as Gorgeous George stomped in, trunk swiping and swinging. Bile, scab, spit, grime, and gag rode on his head, roaring like warriors. Dr. Jan van Sangfreud straddled George's back. The stray dogs pooled between George's legs. Rainwater dripped off their coats, while hot drool dripped off their gnashed fangs. Barty and Bertie Brink flanked the doorway. Over their heads they held rusty, curved swords, which they'd plucked from the wall mounts in the hallways.
Surrender!
They all shouted in a ragtag chorus.
Ah, snap! Now the villains are in big trouble. Looks like the other half of the rescue team dug out of the collapsed ballroom laboratory and are all ready for battle. Too bad Yana didn't surrender when she had the chance. The decision may turn out to be lamentable. Unless, of course, it turns out that an old circus elephant, academic twins, a rat pack, and some stray dogs are no match for a wicked scientist and her army of despicable toadies and monster hounds. Tune in next time for a battle that promises to be unforget-table. My producers are telling me that all these table puns are unacceptable. And here I was thinking I'd finally found a comedic method they actually approved. Because they were silent up till now, I thought, sofa, so good. Ah well, ultimately none of it really mattress. So long as we cherish the good times while they last. Normally, this is when I would remind my dear listeners to visit the Blister and Muck headquarters to check out the links to additional resources, or maybe share your own bad jokes and puns. However, because this unsolvable mystery is coming to a close, I'll be moving all the Blister and Muck episodes to a new online home. I don't know exactly where that's going to be just yet, but you can check up on the status of this shift over at my main website. That's JinnyMason.com, spelled JYNNEMASON.com. If you haven't stopped by the Blister and Muck gift shop to claim your very own t-shirt, hat, or tote bag, now's the best time to do so. A portion of your purchase will help me cover the costs of keeping Blister and Muck Saga available online. Just visit blisterandmuck.com. Special thanks to Roland Rudzitis for serving up the Blister and Muck theme song. Additional music from John Bartman, D. Yan Key, Kevin MacLeod, and Mon Plaisir. Schmadio brought the moody crackles. Fionsti clanged open the cage. Monster mongrel sounds from Tower, Phonos, UPF, and Craig Smith. Sounds Exciting, Dowder41, and Yummy 9987 provided the fight and scuffle sounds. Cat sounds from Orlab and Evie Crosby. Drips, rain, thunder, and lightning from Davor, I Do Musics, and Mike Koenig. Electrical sparks from Kai Miracle. Vata brought the elephant. I have to say my most prized table comes from the support I receive from my family, friends, and fans. One for one, and all for you.